What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, September 10th. It is presidential debate night in America. Congress is back in session, and I've got Senator Marsha Blackburn and Congresswoman Victoria Spartz joining me on the podcast. I'm Alec Lace. This is The Alec Lace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to The Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome everybody to the Alec Lace Show. I'm happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the follow button. Don't forget to share the podcast with everybody in your network or in your neighborhood. Hit the like button. Get involved in that live chat. If you're listening to this podcast or watching the rebroadcast on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share it as well. Got a big program for you guys today. Honored that you guys would spend a few minutes with me here today. If you missed out on last week, I had some tremendous guests joining me on the podcast. I had Roger Stone, Kash Patel, Royce White was also here on the podcast. So if you missed out on any of those interviews, please flip it back and take a listen. A lot of great stuff. And today, it is time for the presidential debate. But first, this time 23 years ago, we all lived in a far different America. We all lived in a much different United States of America, because tomorrow is going to mark the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. And so much has changed in our country since then. And it's something that I can't get away from it this time of the year. I know we're going to be seeing the lights tomorrow night. That they shine up from the World Trade Center. And, I can't help but tune back into watching the documentaries about it. Every year, I always re-listen to the broadcast that was live from 1010 Wins. You can find that on YouTube. I always replay that back, and I'll listen to it on my way to work, on my way home from work, and I kind of listen to as it was happening throughout the day. And it's just one of those, I still can't believe that it happened. It's one of those things. And regardless of everything that has gone on around it, who's responsible, a lot of conspiracy stuff, very open to a lot of it. Was it the government? Was it who played the big role in it? Besides all of that, just the people that were killed on that day and that were horrified, that had to go through this experience. It never ceases to shock me in that went down, and we gave up so much of our freedoms since 9/11 in the wake of 9/11. And so I just want to, I just recently did the swim with the Navy SEALs across the Hudson River, and they do that for their fallen members of Extortion 17, but also in memory of all of those who died on 9/11. We start that swim in Jersey City at the Empty Sky Memorial. We do a big tribute to those who died on 9/11. We have speakers. We had Bernard Kerik that came and did a speech, and just other survivors of 9/11. And so it's always near and dear, close to my heart. And I know so many people of you out there that are listening right now, it's affected you personally. And it's just amazing that it's 23 years ago. So God bless all of you parents, or God bless all of you people out there who have a loved one that died during the September 11th terrorist attacks. And we say we'll never forget, but we are a far different country now. The biggest thing that I miss, or the best thing that did happen as an outcome of 9/11, was September 12th, when we had so much unity. It seemed like everybody was America first. It seemed like politics and everything went out the window, and everyone just loved this country. And I just wish we can get back. And I don't know if we'd have that same reaction today if we were attacked the way we were on September 11th. And it's just, you had George Bush was the president at the time. He got us involved in what would end up being a 20-year war with no real clear objective. The highlight of everything that had happened in those 20 years was killing Osama bin Laden. I've become friends with Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who was on that mission and killed Osama bin Laden. That was really the highlight. It took a long time for us to get that done. I think if we had gotten that done a lot sooner, then that momentum might have still carried. But man, a 20-year war, no clear objective. Nobody knew what the hell we were doing. Weapons of mass destruction. And those two guys, Dick Cheney and George Bush. Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris, and George Bush is, withstand from endorsing a candidate in this election. So that's really a bad look for Kamala Harris. You don't want Dick Cheney endorsing you. And this is the guy, weapons of mass destruction. Which all turned out to be complete nonsense. And it's these guys are war criminals when you really look at it. Dick Cheney, George Bush, what they did made no sense. No one knew what the hell was going on. There was no clear-cut mission. Anyway, again, that's more for another day. Tomorrow, September 11th, hope you will keep in your hearts and your minds all those that died on that day 23 years ago. So all eyes right now are on this presidential debate. We're going to have Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. The last time Donald Trump was in a debate, the other guy quit the race. The last time Kamala Harris was in a debate, she quit the presidential race. So I should say presidential debates is what I'm talking about here. Now, it's going to be on ABC, and I want to put this stat up here for you guys to see that before I get to bringing on Senator Marsha Blackburn. Take a look at ABC, right? Now, here is the difference in what you're going to see. The debate host, ABC, the most biased of the big three mainstream media networks, their coverage of Kamala Harris has been 100% positive. Not one negative story, not one negative comment about Kamala Harris on ABC, compared to Trump's coverage, which has been 93% negative. So 93% negative comments and stories about President Donald Trump, zero about Kamala Harris. So you could just see about how fair this debate is going to be. They're going to do everything they can to protect and coddle Kamala Harris and try to pull her through this debate, which her numbers are sinking. This initial thing with, oh my God, she's got this momentum of Barack Obama. That is completely worn off. She's taken a nosedive in the polls. She's going to need a monstrous night tonight to pull herself and her campaign back into the positive. And I don't see that happening. I think it will derail, and we're going to see what happens. Now, best news that we did get over the weekend, they are now going to postpone the September 18th sentencing of President Donald Trump. They pushed that to pass the election. And so that was a big one. Kash Patel was on here on Thursday. He was saying he had a feeling that that's what they were going to do. They knew that by doing it, they were in really a no-win situation with this thing. They didn't want Judge Marsha to have to do this. They saw it as a negative because just because you have to be an idiot not to see that when Trump was arrested, his poll numbers went through the roof. When they booked him and they put his mugshot out there, he went through the roof. When he got convicted, his popularity and poll numbers went through the roof. Obviously, when he got shot, his poll numbers went through the roof. So why would you continue on that path and now book the guy and put the guy in prison? I mean, you do that and you really seal up the election for him. So they have pulled back on that, and they are now not going to sentence him on the 18th. So what's your take on the debate going down tonight? Don't forget, I did the mock debate right here on the Alec Show. You can find that if you go through the archives. I had Sean Farish and Esty Palti here. Brilliant debate. Those guys are still doing them live on X Spaces. Follow Esty Palti and Sean Farish on X if you want to get in on some of that stuff, because what they do is absolutely hysterical. It should be on Saturday Night Live every weekend. They should be doing a segment on like Saturday Night Live up until the debate, because they are brilliant at what they do. So now before I get into this with the senator here, I just wanted to hit on this because this was the trending story yesterday, and it was about how Biden and Harris dropped 20,000 Haitians into Springfield, Ohio, and they've been overrun in that neighborhood with Haitians. And here's an image here. Here's one guy. They're walking around. Here he's holding a Canadian goose, which appears to be a Canadian goose. They're going around swiping ducks from the pond, cutting their heads off, and then eating them. Right? Here's a guy that was at one of these local Springfield committees telling you about it.
That's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like.
And let me be clear, this is not about race. This is about people being given the privilege of coming here from another country and having no respect for our people, our land, or our life's work. People living their life here the way they did in Haiti, angry, stealing, polluting, living in filth, and acting like animals. These are not civilized people. Opening containers in our grocery stores, helping themselves to what's inside and throwing the rest onto the shelves and floors. Pulling off of the highway to publicly clean and gut the roadkill, lying there in front of anyone that passes by, stealing animals from farmers and leaving their severed heads at the side of an old school where children play, relieving themselves in public, making some barbaric stew out of the birds that live in our park. This is insanity, and it has to stop. What will become of Springfield? Where will we be in 5 years? The thought terrifies me.
Also goes on to talk about how the Haitian drivers, they are a catastrophe. Insurance has gone up because of this. It's wreaking havoc on this neighborhood. And to give you a just of just how bad it is, in the school system in Springfield in 2017, the whole school district had 250 non-English speaking students. Today, that number is now 1,600 students. So that's like a whatever 1,000% increase that they've had. It has exploded in this neighborhood because Kamala Harris has packed these illegal immigrants in there, and they are all from Haiti. And Kamala Harris, of course, wants to protect the Haitians at all costs. Now, these guys are just going around, and, you know, their culture is obviously a lot different than ours. We've seen what just happened down there in Haiti. It was chaos. You had a guy named Barbecue. You had cannibals down there. I mean, the place is like the Wild West. They're just worse than that, right? So if you've ever watched, like I have, watched Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy for 40 years, you've never once seen them give out a trip to Haiti, right? No one ever won the grand prize, and they say, hey, pack your bags, pal. You and your wife are going a 7 days trip to Haiti, right? You've never seen that. There's a reason why, is because Haiti's a shithole. But if you say that, you get hit with that racist tag or whatever tag they throw at you. But here's Kamala Harris. She's going to protect the Haitians at all costs, not the U.S. citizens, the Haitian illegal immigrants. Take a listen.
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection.
All right, so she's protecting the Haitian immigrants. Now, this story really went viral because of it, and I'm not going to play this video because it's really sick. I'll play it here without the audio, but there's a woman in Ohio that was eating a cat, somebody's a neighborhood cat. And the whole story is pretty gross. Now, they said that this woman was a Haitian immigrant, so that caught fire with the other story about these Haitians scooping up ducks out of the pond and cutting their heads off and eating them. And so they put these two stories together, and the memes were hysterical online yesterday on X about, Haitians eating your pets, vote for Trump if you want. I'll put some of them up here, like cats for Trump. So I got involved in the mix myself. Everyone's using this AI feature that's on Twitter, and they're coming up with some bangers to do this. But this woman ended up she's not a Haitian. She's, I believe, born in America. She just happens to be a mentally ill person that was eating her neighbor's cat, which was pretty disgusting. But regardless of that, getting back to this, the whole thing that there is a Haitian problem going on in Springfield, Ohio. And what's funny, too, is the media loves to come down. Look at this headline that they came out with, right? Now, too bad that your Canadian geese are getting eaten, right here. Look. Downtown Press. Dear racists, you eat birds too. Racists are furious over migrants grilling seagulls and geese. Newsflash, most Americans eat birds. Ever heard of chicken? Okay. So these people are taking ducks out of the pond, whacking their heads off and eating them. And they're comparing this to you going to ShopRite and buying a rotisserie chicken that you got from a farm. All right? And you're racist if you got a problem with this. So what that there's illegal immigrants cooking up seagulls in your neighborhood? You racist? This is not the way we live. This is not our culture. This is not how we do things. You don't just walk down to the neighborhood pond, pick up a duck, cut its head off, and then cook it. Or not even cook it, eat it raw. I don't know what they're doing with the ducks. But it's like, this is not who we are. This is who they are. This is the culture they're bringing here. And it's unchecked, and they don't care. And we're seeing the same thing that's happening all over this country because the open border from Kamala Harris, the border czar, is out of control. And if you have a stink about it and you have a problem with this, you're a racist. And there's no other thing you could say about it. And it's really disgraceful. Meanwhile, too, by the way, Donald Trump, when he was in office, signed the Prevention of Animal Cruelty and Torture Act, right? Historical act done to prevent the cruelty to animals. Where's PETA, by the way? They should be down there in Springfield. Anyway, Congress is back in session, and I've got Senator Marsha Blackburn, a lot of things I want to get to talk to her about. Also going to have Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, because there is a big spending bill coming on the table. We're going to talk about that with her in a lot more detail. Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, right after I have Senator Marsha Blackburn. Have her first up. She's the senior senator in Tennessee. I want to discuss with her if we have the time. I know time is always tight, but I'm going to try to squeeze in as much as I can. She's got the Report Act, the After School Act. I want to talk about the Kids Online Safety Act. I'd love to get into the girls' sports if I could. So a lot to try to get to. I'm going to try to pack in as much as I can. Honored to get Senator Marsha Blackburn back on the Alec Lay Show. Again, put down in the suggestion box down there other guests that you'd like to see back here on the podcast, because this one also comes from one of those suggestions. All right? So let's do this.
You're listening to the Alec Lay Show. The future is family.
Okay, here we go. Joining me now, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Welcome back to the Alec Lay Show.
I'm delighted to join you. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. Listen, right now, there's no doubt that the internet is a pedophile paradise. It's a place for all kinds of nefarious activities taking place aimed at our children. You got this Online Safety Act passed the Senate. Now, proponents of this say that it's an attack on free speech. There's a problem with censorship with this, but there is nothing being done to protect our kids online whatsoever right now. So what say you about the proponents of what you have passed here in the Senate with the Online Safety Act?
Right. And as you're saying, people that oppose this bill are trying to say, well, it will censor or it's going to be a free speech infringement. But what we have to realize, free speech does not allow you to shout fire in a crowded theater, nor should it allow you to subject a child to drugs, pornography, alcohol, tobacco, and expose them to activity that there are laws against in the physical space. You can't take a child. You can't sell them alcohol, tobacco, pornography. You can't take them in a casino. You can't take them to a bar. You can't take them to a strip show. And also, there are no product design safety provisions on the virtual space. And in the physical world, just about every product that you buy has safety standards. And that is what we're saying for the internet. What we're saying is for the internet, you also have to have safety by design. You have to have a duty of care. And you cannot expose children to these things. You've got to open your algorithms. And you have to make certain that there is a toolbox for children and parents so that they can eliminate being exposed to things they don't want to be exposed to.
And for parents, just speaking for myself as a parent of 4 kids, it is so impossible to be able to safeguard what your kids are seeing on their phones or their devices, especially as they're into these teenage years. They know more about these devices than you do. So you can't really, there's really only so much that the parents can do. And it's like, we have like when if there's certain movies, they're rated R or they're rated PG-13, the parents have the ability to say, you're not going to see that movie. You're not going to see this. But with online, it's just a free for all. It just seems like anything goes and there's access to everything for kids. And even, we had I crushed on this last week just because we have opening day of the NFL that happened now. And the NFL's number one sponsor this year and last year is DraftKings. And they are exposing all of these kids now that look to watch the NFL. They're watching gambling commercials every single time. It was bad enough they're seeing all the alcohol commercials. Now they're shoving this gambling stuff down the kids' throats, and it's going to lead to an epidemic very shortly in this country.
Well, one of the things that we do know from parents is, as you're saying, the children are exposed to this 24/7, 365. And what we are saying is it is time to require the internet to practice safety by design and to have these social media companies practicing safety by design. They have not done that. And so children are exposed to this. There's so much research, and I know you've covered a good bit of this, that shows that massive numbers of children that meet a drug dealer or meet a pedophile or meet a sex trafficker, that initial interaction is online. It is taking place in the virtual space. So our bill is narrowly tailored. It focuses on these social media platforms and these gaming platforms that children use. And it also it will not infringe when a child is online searching for something and maybe they're searching for a website. It also doesn't affect nonprofits and their websites. So people that say it's a free speech infringement or that it would be a violation of privacy, I'm telling you, they are wrong on this because it is time for us to protect these children in the virtual space.
Well, there's no doubt something has to be done. I know you have the Report Act. You're talking about how the first instance is the interaction takes place online. Child sex trafficking is an epidemic in the United States, also here as well. I mean, it's gotten so far out of control. And you're right. Without access to the internet has opened the door to all of these sex traffickers, all these pedophiles. It's insanity what we're allowing our kids to be exposed to. So the Report Act, I know you had said that the stat that was incredible. Like it's like a kid every 1 or 2 minutes is a victim of this in the country. So I mean, it just blows my mind how out of control it is.
Yes. Once every 2 minutes, a child is bought or sold for sex in this country. And what we have learned, as I said, is the majority of these interactions, these initial interactions, are going to take place in the virtual space. And what we learned by working with NCMEC on all of these issues around protecting children that are being exploited was that they had an issue. They were only allowed to hold information for a period of 90 days. And we need to get these pedophiles into court and get them convicted and get them locked up and off the internet. So the bill extends that period to 1 year that they can hold this information. They also will be able to transfer it via the cloud. Previously, what they've had to do is to print it all out or either put it all on a thumb drive and physically take it to law enforcement, take it to the prosecutor, take it to the judge. And this will allow them to transfer that file via the internet. We also put the responsibility on social media platforms when they know they've got a sex trafficker and a pedophile on their site, then they have to take them off. If they don't, it is $1 million a day fine. We have got to get serious about this and protect these children.
Listen, I applaud you for what you're doing because there's nothing else being done to protect the kids online. It just seems like everyone's just going to leave it to the kids themselves to be able to figure it out. Oh, you should know better than to not watch it. It's not up to them. And the parents have very little they can do to restrict the flow of information coming across the internet, especially on these social media platforms, the Snapchats, the Instagram, and these algorithms are built in, Senator, so that they are so addictive. It's like the kids get the same dopamine hit from flipping a page on that screen that they do if they were pulling a slot machine sitting in Vegas. They're getting that same, and it's designed that way. You got people that are making billions of dollars sitting in a room trying to figure out how can we keep these kids on the screen longer and longer and longer, and they're defenseless against it, and parents have no idea how to stop it.
Well, you're right about that. And we have, as a society, decided there are things that children ought not to be exposed to. And you mentioned the gambling, alcohol use and the exposure to that. But online, they're exposed to this nonstop. And we as a society have also taken action against activities that are addictive, like the gambling, having to do that at a certain age, going to a casino. You can't do that until a certain age.
Tobacco.
Alcohol or tobacco. And the addictive nature of that. That's what the tobacco lawsuits were all about. And that is why the restrictions have tightened up. You know, it's like this. If you had a minute market and you sold beer or you sold tobacco and were caught doing that, selling it to an underage child, they would come in and they would lock the doors and they would haul you down to City Hall and slap a fine on you. But we don't have any kind of mechanism that addresses that same type of activity in the virtual space. And as you said, with the Report Act, we have not had a mechanism that allows us to go after these pedophiles so we can get them into court, convict them, and lock them up. And I will tell you, I was so grateful. The Report Act went through the Senate with everybody voting aye. They all voted for it. And then the Kids Online Safety Act cleared the Senate with a 91-3 vote. There is strong bipartisan support for taking actions that are going to protect these children in the virtual space. And I've been so pleased to lead this effort and ever so grateful for all the support that I've gotten, not only from parents and teachers and pediatricians and principals, but also from a lot of kids who are saying, hey, we need help with this.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and it's not even getting into the online bullying that is taking place. You have the suicide rate amongst youth has skyrocketed since the invention of this smartphone. It's gone up, increased every year. So as we continue to make our lives better, that we say, with the internet and with the access we have to the smart world that we live in now, we're actually doing a lot of harm and damage to our kids because they are facing outrageous numbers of depression, anxiety, suicide, as I said, has gone up. So it has really crushed the soul of our children in this country, and it seems like not enough is getting done to stop that. So I applaud you for what you're doing and making an effort. I wanted to switch over to this now too, because you make a point to say we do have a problem with juvenile violence in this country as well. 64% of the juvenile violence you're saying here takes place on school days, and when you combine the fact that these kids will get out of school early, both parents are working in a lot of senses. In many cases, they have no father in the home. It's a single parent household. The mother is working 2 jobs. So the kids have free reign to do what they want. So you've got now this after school act that you have on the board. Another idea that I really like because it will keep the kids active, because the idle mind is the devil's playground. You got to give these kids something to do or they're going to do the wrong thing. So talk to me about the after school act.
Yes, the After School Act focuses on these programs for young people in the after school hours, that 2 to 6 o'clock time frame. And our attention was drawn to this because we looked at what was happening in Memphis, Tennessee, where they saw a skyrocketing of juvenile charges with crimes and offenses that were being committed by kids. We also have seen this in other cities as you look at the impact of gangs that have come across the border, and they're moving into these cities and they're recruiting kids many times as young as 8 years old. And then there were troubling stats, not only from Memphis, but other cities, about what was happening with carjackings. The average age of a kid who was carrying out a carjacking, 15 years old. They're not even old enough to have a driver's license. So this shows you that there need to be these grants that are made to nonprofit organizations, community organizations that will implement after school programs. This could be academic, it could be sports, it could be music, it could be science. It can be whatever, but there will be grants to facilitate these so that there is somewhere for these kids to go, so that they're not out being recruited by these gangs. And what we want to do is make certain that we interrupt this activity, this criminal activity, and this gang-related activity that is carrying out in many of our cities. And the After School Act is a great way to get resources to the local level so that they have the funds to do these programs and help protect these kids.
Something's got to be done there as well. God bless all our kids in this country. There's so much coming at them that they have to deal with right now. And not even to mention, we have our girls, our girls in this country right now are facing so many different things that we never thought would be possible. When you have now men competing in sports against them, you have men sharing the same locker with them, and parents are fed up with this, Senator. We've had enough of it. It's no more. Like, enough parents have woken up and are saying, no matter what side of the aisle they're on politically, they do not want men competing against their daughters in sports. Like, enough's enough with this stuff. We're not taking it anymore. Like, it's got way out of control with that as well.
Yes, indeed. And I have my American Girls in Sports Day Act, as well as other legislation that is there to support and protect our young women. Title IX has opened doors of opportunity for women in sports. In 1972, when Title IX was signed into law, there were only about a little less than 300,000 female student athletes in this country. And today there are over 3 million. And that is because Title IX opened those opportunities. And we think it's important to celebrate our female athletes, to encourage them, to celebrate their success with them. So my resolution, the American Girls in Sports Act, would establish October 10th every year as the American Girls in Sports Day, and would set aside a day for us to recognize these young women and celebrate their achievements. And I like taking the 10th month and the 10th day of the 10th month to do this, because the Roman numerals for the 10th month, 10th day would be XX. So we think that is very appropriate for celebrating females in sports.
Yeah, it doesn't help them in the Olympics, though, because apparently you could still compete, with the XY chromosome in the XX game. So, but it's so much going against our girls. So I love what you're doing, and especially too, if you just decide to use a different pronoun, now you could play in the game against these women that we fought so hard for to get their sports going. So God bless you for that as well. I know I'm up against the clock. Senator Marsha Blackburn, always an honor. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on the Alec Late Show.
Thank you.
All right, honored to have Senator Marsha Blackburn back on the Alec Late Show. What did you guys think about the interview? Hit me with a comment down below. Again, leave another suggestion down there in the box. Parents have got to stay on their post in this country. It's so much is coming at our kids, and everyone's sick and tired of the stuff with the way that they're mutilating kids and calling it gender affirming care. No one's buying it anymore. Everyone's sick and tired of hearing about it. No one cares anymore. I'm not afraid of offending you anymore. Leave the kids alone. Stop chopping off their private parts and calling it some kind of gender affirming care or health care. No one wants to hear it anymore. We're fed up with it. We're sick of it, and it's going to be eradicated from our country. You're not going to continue to do this. You're not putting men in the boys' sports anymore. That's over. That shit is done. That's not happening anymore. We're not putting up with it. Enough people have had enough of it, and they have woken up everywhere. And this stuff with the pronouns, you don't even hear that. Nobody even puts it in their bios anymore. I've never, in real life, I'll be honest with you, in real life, I have never seen a person, and I've been introduced to thousands of people, I've never heard anybody introduce themselves saying, "Hi, my name is this, my pronouns are that." I've never heard this. I've never heard one single person. I've only seen these people on TV and on the internet. So I'm not down with all this. I know so many people are just fed up with all this stuff. And the stuff with the kids in school, what they're learning, what they're teaching them. This is going to stop. Believe me, this is going to come to a stop. Enough parents are pissed off about what's happening in our school systems that has failed our children, that is not educating them, that is indoctrinating them. And things are going to change because enough is enough. Now, another thing where there's enough is enough is this whole idea about not having to show ID when you vote. And I've yet to have an answer to this. I put it on Twitter. I've gotten called racist for it. That's about the only thing I've gotten other than no answer. And it is, what is the purpose of not showing your ID to vote other than you want to cheat? That's the only answer that exists for not wanting to have people show ID to vote is so they can cheat. That's it. There's no other reason. So if you have another reason, if you know a liberal that has given you another reason, please put it down there in the chat, put it in the comments, so I can at least get some kind of insight. I mean, you need to show ID to buy NyQuil at Rite Aid or ShopRite. Of course, it's locked behind bulletproof glass if you're in a Democrat city. But you have to show your ID to purchase this. You have to show ID for everything. And no one calls it racist. No one questions why. They realize you need to be of age to do this. That's the law. The law is you need to be a United States citizen to vote in the federal election. So why are we not showing ID? There's no other reason other than you want to cheat. Now, this is being tattooed here by the Speaker Johnson. Hopefully, he's going to stick to his guns. Hopefully, they're going to stick to this. The SAVE Act is going to be included in this spending bill that's coming up right now, that's debating right now in Congress. And I'm going to have Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. We're going to hit on that and quite a few other things here. But most important, I want to get to that. She is the representative of the 5th District in Indiana. She's been on the podcast before. I'm honored to get her back. So we're going to talk about the SAVE Act, the open border, and we're going to see what else we can get into. She's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. So we're going to fire away and see what we can do.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, let's do this. Joining me now, Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. Welcome back to the Alec Lace Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Alec.
Well, I know Congress is back in session. It's a busy time for you here. I'm honored that you take a few minutes to spend it with me. And one of the big things everyone's talking about is the spending bill and whether or not we can get the SAVE Act attached to this bill. So give me the latest on this. How do you see this playing out? Will the SAVE Act be able to go through with this spending bill?
Well, listen, the challenge I have with the whole situations, that I was really willing to take that hill, okay? We're just going to have another messaging bill. We're going to tell how this grandstanding going to continue omnibus CRs and spending, and then it's going to come back and we'll say, oh, we tried to fight, and really, this is, now we continue. But we won, at least we didn't get much worse spending. It could have been much worse. We continue Nancy Pelosi COVID spending, but it could have been worse, So I think that is the challenge I have. So I have no problem with the SAVE Act. The problem I have with the CR and continuing reckless spending. We don't even want to have that CR be a little bit longer because it would be just 1 month longer. It would actually have automatic 1% cut. We're even afraid of that. We make it short enough to make sure that we couldn't even cut 1% in case if we don't pass new appropriations, so nothing happened in the spring. So at least we could do a little bit longer, and we're not trying to do that. That's my, the concern with that. You pick your hills to die on, you need to take it, and we need to take some hills, and our base will be upset. A lot of American people will be upset with Republicans. I think this is moving very close to the election, so it's very hard to move this issue, and how it should have been done a year ago. Right now, it probably would not have any impact on this election, but, is it really a real fight that we're going to win or not? That's my concerns about that, and that's why I do not like the CR. I think SAVE Act is a great piece of legislation. We should have passed it a long time ago, but the strategy and how we're going to really shutting down the economy already before the election, when they stop paying military and border patrol and everything else, they make it painful. Are American people with us on this issue? Did we communicate very well? We're doing it kind of last second, very close to the election, and really, I'm not sure if that's a very wise strategy, and I'm a little bit fed up with messaging, so we'll see.
It just seems very frustrating. Number one, the fact that we can't just have the SAVE Act and just get that passed alone without having to have to attach it to something else, because basically SAVE Act, you should have voter ID. You should have to show ID to vote. That's what the American people believe. And I've never heard any other reason to not have to show ID to vote other than you want to cheat in the elections. I've never heard any other counterpoint to saying, well, we shouldn't have ID to vote because this. Have you ever heard another reason to not show ID to vote?
Well, listen, Democrats will find a lot of reasons and say, oh, it's voter oppression and everything else. Listen, we're a country of law, and this is a privilege given to U.S. citizens. We cannot have, lawlessness in our country. Unfortunately, we become a mob rule and lawlessness country. But in any country in the world, in anywhere, you should be able to prove your citizenship and you're a legitimate person to vote. Otherwise, it allows a lot of abuses. And unfortunately, they now, through welfare system and how things are set up, they try to register a lot of people to vote. They don't even realize, some of them, that they might not be eligible to vote. They ask these questions, every time they sign up people to Medicaid or anything else, they ask these questions without actually asking. And they don't even know. They never even ask. They might even know that these people are not legal U.S. citizen. They could be visa holders. They could be, we actually now give welfare to illegals too. So, but they could be just U.S. residents, green card holders that not eligible to vote. But they try to register as many possible people, and this is a criminal, criminal offense to do that, but there is no enforcement. Nothing happens. So I think we need to be proactive with that, because this is a serious risk. But I'm not sure how serious we are about passing legislation. And I'm a little bit fed up with messaging, Bill. I'm tired of Republican messaging. We need to get things done.
And it seems like nothing does get done, Congresswoman. And we feel the same way watching, having this majority in the House, as slim as it may be. We've watched it now, and nothing has gotten accomplished of any real merit that we could say, hey, look at how great we had this. We took advantage of the fact that we had this slim majority in the House. We can't say that now going into the end of this. And like you said, the spending bill, this thing just keeps getting kicked down the road. Nobody seems to have any, there's no leadership. Like, it seems like Speaker Mike Johnson, we're supposed to have some kind of leadership. We know we got rid of Kevin McCarthy. We thought we were going to have the guy. It just seems like we're too weak, and we don't have the spine to stand up and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're moving the ball forward. Get on board or get out of the way. And it just doesn't seem like we have that. We're not on the attack mode, and people are tired of seeing that.
Well, listen, that's why people are frustrated, and with us too. I mean, that's why I guess the only hope that Congress has, about 12% approval rating, less than senile presidents. So that's my hope, is still that Republic is not completely lost. If we would have had 80 or 90% approval rating, we would be really in trouble. So American people see that they're frustrated with us as an institution. And the most important job of Congress, it's power of the purse. It's a fiscal accountability. You can send a lot of letters and do a lot of presentations, and you then send a check to them. Seriously, only money matters. If you continue sending them a check, they care less about being accountable to the American people. And we continue destroying our country fiscally, destroying the future for our children, destroying people with inflation, on the low income people and fixed income. And we have looming crises with 3 major funds going insolvent, where our $2 trillion annual deficit is going to be doubling, and we already have $35 trillion debt. This is insanity. We got us into fiscal calamity, and now China and Russia try to undermine our currencies through BRICS and try to, for us to lose the status of reserve currency. We need to get our act together, but we're even afraid to do 1% cut or do fiscal commission. We're even afraid to talk about fiscal issues. We have debt ceiling increase coming up at the end of the year. Do we have a plan, or more grandstanding how tough we are? I mean, this is more grandstanding messaging, and I'm kind of fed up, and I think American people. So I said, I hope American people give us a chance. And if we don't show them that we can govern, after this fall, then I think they should replace all of us. 100%, clean slate. 100% of Congress should be replaced, and I will be personally campaigning to do that.
Damn, well said. And I think that's how we do feel. It feels like either get something done or get out of the way and let somebody get in there that will get something done. And that's how the American people feel. And we are sick and tired of seeing. Now, you say, you talk about, obviously, the out of control budget. We are crippling the future of this country. Our children are being set up to fail here. But also, too, we've flooded this country with illegal immigrants who don't give a damn about contributing to this country or making America great or doing any of this. And we just seen recently they dumped 20,000 migrants, Haitians over in Springfield, Ohio. That entire community has been, upended now. People, their schools had like 250 kids that were like non-speaking English. Now they got 1,600 kids that don't speak English. And so the whole thing, all these neighborhoods are getting affected because Kamala Harris has this open border that has crippled so many families in this country. Forget about getting into the fentanyl and everything else. The crime alone has been doing the damage. Now today, the judiciary is hearing from the victims' perspectives. And how difficult is it to sit there and listen to people have to tell you about how they've lost their loved ones due to this open border that didn't have to be. They didn't have to go back on Trump's policies at the border, but they did it. And now these families have suffered.
Well, it's sad, that for political reasons, people don't care about people's life. And people die because of the bad decisions or political decisions of this administration. They want to flood the country with people that are not educated. They don't know what's going on. Hopefully they don't speak any English, and make sure that they will never speak English. So they're easy to brainwash. And now we're creating immigration to welfare, where we're now trying to put more and more people, on welfare programs and turn them into voting class, and even before they become citizens. This is it's the craziest thing. I cannot believe that is happening in our country, and how this could get away, this administration, for such a long time. But we go back again. We're going to fund these failed agencies. We haven't been authorizing these programs, a lot of them, for decades, and we'll continue funding them. Until Congress stop giving money, failed and corrupt administration, nothing is going to change. Our hearings, yeah, we have some hearings, and it's really sad to hear what's happening on the ground, but it's all about money. We continue funding this failed policy, corrupt NGOs, Mexican cartels that enslave and poor people that desperate, and now becoming, and killing Americans with fentanyl, working with China. I mean, this is crazy, but we continue funding it, continue giving the money. And again, we're going to send them another check. We'll continue continuous resolution and continue Nancy Pelosi spending. We're going to send another check to them. No one is going to care about that. No one care about hearings and letters. All matter is money. And until we're going to start taking a serious look where we're sending our money and where they're going, and start truly, auditing our books and see how much corruption happening, nothing is going to change.
And you're right, because we could do all this, write the strongly worded letter, we can make a little stink about it when we talk, but nothing is actually physically getting done, and the same thing is happening. Meanwhile, too, at the border, there's 320,000 children that are missing, and it almost seems like as if nobody cares whatsoever what happened to these kids. Like it was when Trump was in office, we had the big charade down there. We're crying at the fence with the AOC. Everyone's like, oh, children are getting separated. Now you have 320,000 kids that are unaccounted for, and it seems like no one cares to even what happened to these kids. Meanwhile, the border is still open right now, and more kids are coming through, getting trafficked, drugs that are still coming through, and no one seems to care. And like you said, we're just going to do more of the same, and nothing is changing. And that's what's the frustration for so many parents and so many Americans in the country.
Well, listen, and this administration doesn't care about people's life. We've seen what's happened in Afghanistan with people around the world, in our country, and the border. As long as they move in their very radical socialist agenda to take over the country, to take controls of the country, of businesses, of us, take our rights and centralize power in Washington, D.C. And unfortunately, they've been very successful. I mean, I have to tell you, they were brilliant in what they're doing. And unfortunately, our side hasn't been strong enough, to fight it. And unfortunately, we have been failing on this issue. So this is going to be a big battle. I hope we win in November. But if we don't start governing very soon, this republic is going to be lost. And I am not saying it lightly. A lot of republic fails, but we reached the point. It's been accumulated now for 100 years, this very radical agenda been in the works. But now it's reaching the point where if something is not done very soon, we're going to be in trouble as a country. And a lot of these things are going to be very hard to reverse. A lot of countries go through bloodshed to go back from socialism. A lot of our predecessors went through bloodshed and sacrificed a lot for us to have freedoms. And we're not valuing that much. And, I hope we don't have to have a wake-up call. I always say, unfortunately, this place is only governed by crises, and sadly, they're coming. So, hopefully we'll have the right people in charge when they come, because at this point they will be happening. It's about we will have the right leaders to deal with them properly, or get more government control and take over the system by the government. That's what the other side wants to do.
There's no doubt, Congresswoman, we are on the doorstep of disaster here in November if we don't get it right. If we don't get President Trump in there, if we don't get a bigger majority in the House, if we don't take the Senate, if we don't get any of these things accomplished, we are finished in this country. We can just see the writing on the wall of what's going to happen. And right now, tonight, we have the huge debate that's going to take place between Trump and Kamala Harris, who hasn't been able to give her vision of the future. She stuck her policies on her website in the middle of the night after 40 days after she declared her run for presidency, after they anointed her as the candidate, wasn't voted in by the people as the candidate. They anointed her in. So what do you expect to see from this debate? Give me a hit on the debate tonight. What do you expect we're going to see?
Well, listen, their vision was very clear, that they want to take control of the country. They want to turn it, and them being on top, political elites and their friends, and being all of us equally poor. That's what socialism, controlling means of production, deciding who's losers and winners, and deciding how their agenda, the personal agenda, is going to be moved, a very radical agenda. So, but they have good, very corrupt media and everything, been working for now a long time to try to paint them in a way that what not they are. It's a true hypocrisies and lies. But I don't underestimate the machine of money they created and what they've been doing. So I think it's very, very important debate. I think this debate is very important for the future of our country because, Kamala has a chance now to say what she really stands for. And I think she will be very prepared. But I think President Trump has a way better track record. He has a vision for the country. And I think if he talks about the future of the country and really what great things can be happening and really how he can grow the economy and really create wealth for all Americans and really for working Americans and protect our country from, a lot of, adversaries around the world, defend our borders and have a strong economy and good education for our children and all of these things. This is not radical. This is common sense, protecting rights and have prosperity for Americans. This is something all Americans should want to do. So I think if he sticks to issues, we have much better policy, much better track record. They have a very radical. They're trying to turn her into something else now, like from being like, someone who wanted to take over of healthcare, who and all of this, like suddenly she's like this Mrs. Nice, and she's talking about, she's so common sense. It's all just lies. People need to start pay attention. He needs to call out some of these lies, but I hope he sticks to policies because they will try to drag into all of the things that, they go beyond because their policies so failed, they're so radical. Most Americans don't want socialist communism in our country, and they cannot tell the truth. We need to call that out, but we need to go back into what we're strong at, not go into like really in the, just in fighting and talk about issues that don't matter for the American people.
And that is the issue, Congressman, is because she is a socialist or a communist or a Marxist, whatever you want to call her. She wants that for America. There's no question about it. Her track record is the most liberal person that we had in the Senate. So there's no doubt that that's what she wants. But she's in a position where she has to play it like that's not what she really wants. She has to give you some type of smoke screen to say, oh, no, I'm not. That's not really who I am. I want this. This way she can get in there and then unleash this agenda to just cripple the American people. So I pray to God we can prevent that stuff from happening. I know right now Congress is back in session. Well, what are you hoping to accomplish? And close it out here. What do you hope you guys can accomplish before the end of your guys' session by January?
Well, I hope it will not cause more damage to the Republic. And this before the election, I'm not sure we're going to be accomplishing a lot of messaging, Bill, but I hope we're at least messaging things that matter and send the message, to some of the adversaries, included like China, and we're going to be serious about them stuff. We're going to be serious about governing, at least talk about some serious issues, but I don't think this Congress and the rest of this Congress is going to be really too many accomplishments, sadly. But I truly hope, that at some point we can have a serious conversation and be able to deliver something, and I hope American people give us another chance and trust us that something is going to happen because it's going to be a very big election. And I'll do my part. I told my Republicans I'll be nice till November, and then I'll be not very nice. I might become brutal, because I'm responsible for my party. The other one is too far gone. If I don't fix my party to start serving the people, and if we're afraid to deliver for the people, we're really in trouble. So I think we'll do our part. I think there is much more things happening in Congress, including this Congress with all of the turmoil. It's like if you have a swamp, you have to a little bit to shake it up. So start moving some things. It's not that easy to drain it, okay? So we got some things that actually happen and moving in a positive direction. It's very hard because this issue has been accumulated for a long time. So I truly believe if American people will give us a chance, we can show. But if we can't, then we're not worth being here. And I think people have to hold us accountable here.
Well, Congresswoman, you always tell it like it is. You're on fire all the time. I'm always honored that you take the time to spend it here with me on the Alec Lay Show. I know you guys are back in session and you're busy. I'd love to have you back on before we close it all out. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Lay Show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Alec. I appreciate it.
All right, honored to have Congresswoman Victoria Spartz on the podcast today. What do you guys think about the interview? Hit me with a comment down below. I've been very disappointed in Speaker Johnson, but I am praying that this guy is not going to give in and not going to bend the knee, and he's going to continue to have the SAVE Act attached to the spending bill because, again, like I said, there's no reason to not ask people for ID when they're going to vote. It's only common sense. The only reason to not do it is so that you can cheat. I've never heard of another reason or another excuse. So, really honored to have Senator Marsha Blackburn on the podcast, Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. Very blessed to keep getting these guests. I owe it all to you, the listener out there. Leave your suggestions down there in the comments below. One of you guys had suggested bringing back Senator Blackburn. I made sure I reached out, got her back, and I told you guys now that Congress is back in session, I'm going to go full court press and try to see how many different people I can get from the House, from the Senate, back on the podcast here, or some new representatives as well. So one thing I wanted to hit you guys with on the way out the door here was that NFL Sunday had kicked off, and I wanted to bring this up because they released the body cam of this, and NFL wide receiver Tyreek Hill, who is a person known for beating up pregnant women, was on his way to the game when he got pulled over. So this became the big issue of football Sunday because people driving on their way to the game see their wide receiver on the floor handcuffed. He's got a Lamborghini that he's driving, and the police had him face down. So everyone's saying, oh, what happened? So he was released, allowed to play in the game. He scores a touchdown in the game and then mocks the arrest. He puts his hands behind his back, and one of the players act like they're arresting him. So now the body cam footage comes out. And I'm going to play just the beginning part here so you can see what led to this altercation that went down. Take a look.
Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Like what? Why do you have it up? Hey, keep your window down. Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me your ass. Get out of the car. Give me your ass. I'm gonna break that freaking window. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 What part of law don't you understand? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting up, bro. God damn, twin. When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand?
I'm getting out.
You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late. Too late.
Right, so Tyreek Hill decides he's going to put his window up. Now, I know for you guys that aren't watching the video, you were just listening to the audio, maybe confusing, but the officer is talking to Tyreek Hill. He becomes he's mouthy right away from the gate and then says, do what you got to do. And he puts his window up, which is tinted, and the cop cannot see in the window. And if you know anything about the police, one of the most dangerous situations they're in is when there's a tinted window and they cannot see what the person inside the car is doing. They have no idea. Their life is on the line at that point. He knocks on the glass, put the window down. Has to knock on the glass again, put the window down. He puts the window down just to touch, to talk to him. Well, that's it. You had your opportunity to listen to the officer. At that point, no matter what happens to you, you're the instigator of this problem. So Tyreek gets pulled out of the car and gets arrested. Now, of course, because of who he is, and he's not like you and me, he's an NFL player, they're treated differently, so he got to get released and go play in the game and then mock the whole thing by scoring a touchdown. Now, this is the same Tyreek Hill who beat the crap out of his pregnant girlfriend. And he admitted to that. This isn't something that's like happens to. He was found guilty. He openly admitted that. He told you that he beat up his pregnant girlfriend. Now, the thing that's on the fence is whether or not he beat the crap out of one of his own kids and broke his arm. Because they say it was an accident, that the kid just fell down the stairs, one of those deals. This guy, who we need to give him a second chance. He deserves it. You have grown men wearing this guy's jersey with his name on the back, cheering for this guy to score a touchdown. He beats up pregnant women. And everyone's like, give him another chance. Me, when I was on Fox News and I called Kamala Harris the original Hawk 2 girl, everyone said, oh my God, he should be canceled. This guy is, he's misogynist. He should never work ever again in media. Everyone came at my family. Everyone hated on me. Tyreek Hill, a guy who beats up a woman who's pregnant, everyone's like, he needs another chance. You don't understand. He needs to get another chance. Stop being so racist. They don't call him a misogynist. In fact, at the Grammy Award, the ESPY Awards, Serena Williams and Venus Williams didn't call out somebody like Tyreek Hill. They didn't say, we're not with you, Tyreek Hill. Or, just in the 2000s alone, there's been over 126 players that have been arrested for domestic violence. Serena Williams and Venus Williams, they didn't get up there at the ESPYs and call out any of those 120-something guys that were beating up women. They didn't do any of that. You know who they called out at the ESPYs? Harrison Butker. They called out Harrison Butker because he told women that the most cherished position they're going to have in this life is that of becoming a mother. We're not with Harrison Butker. They don't mention one of the hundreds of NFL players that have been arrested for domestic violence. They don't mention Tyreek Hill, who beat the shit out of his pregnant girlfriend. No. They're down with that. We're okay with that. You give that man another chance. He deserves it. But Harrison Butker, he had the nerve to get up there and talk about his Christian values, his Catholic values. Oh, no, we're not down with that. Don't you see what a joke this is? So I just kind of wanted to hit that because it kind of bothers me when I see this hero worshiping of the sports players in our society and the dopes that go along with it blindly that could care less. And the comments, too, right away on Twitter, it's like, who cares? I got him in my fantasy. They don't care what these guys do. Rape, assault, beat. They don't give a damn. This guy you got playing on the Browns, Deshaun Watson, got hit with another one. He's got 26 sexual allegations against him. You think they care about that? Nah, he's still slinging the rock inside the stadium. I got him in my fantasy. You got a big problem in this country when it comes to this. People are blind by this stuff. And a lot of it is because they're just been duped into thinking that this stuff is okay and they can cheer it on. But it's an absolute disgrace and it's a joke. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. Thursday on the podcast, I'm going to have Maureen Bannon back on the podcast. So make sure you bring it back for that. She is Steve Bannon's daughter, who is still in jail right now, unjustly, because we have a 2-tier system of justice. He's still serving his time. I think he gets out in November. He's got a 4-month sentence. He's a little more than halfway through it right now. So his daughter, Maureen Bannon, has been running the show over there for the War Room. Any War Room posse members out there, make sure you bring it back here on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live for the broadcast. Again, thank you so much to Senator Marsha Blackburn and Congresswoman Victoria Spartz for giving me a few minutes of their time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, follow the channel, and share the broadcast with everybody in your network, in your neighborhood, who you think might enjoy the podcast as well. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. God bless our parents out there. God bless you listeners, our police, our first responders, our military, our veterans. God bless America. And I will catch you guys on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
Promo code FATHERHOOD. Go to mypillow.com and everything we have on sale there. Actually, we brought in the percale sheets. The queen size, $34.98 a set. King size, $39.98 a set. That's unheard of. It's the lowest price in history. And everything else on there that we have, you can save up to 80%. We don't have any middlemen. We don't have box stores and stuff. They canceled on MyPillow. They even canceled my book to get my book out, So use that promo code FATHERHOOD, everybody, and please help us out, and thanks for ones that you have already helped out. And by the way, you'll be helping yourself to the best sleep in history, period.
I got to tell you, that mattress topper is the best product I have in the house, Mike, no doubt.
And that turns any bed into the best bed in history. If you've got an old bed, new bed, doesn't matter. You put the mattress topper on there, and it changes everything. You need a different input to get a different output. People waking up every day going, maybe my bed will be better than night. No, you need a MyPillow mattress.